Disclaimer out of the way. All right, pre-market movers. All information herein is for information purposes only, as pre-market movers is not registered as a securities broker dealer or an investment advisor. No information herein is intended as securities brokerage, investment, tax, accounting, or legal advice, or as an offer or solicitation of an offer to sell or buy, or as an endorsement, recommendation, or sponsorship of any company, security, or fund. Pre-market movers cannot and does not assess, verify, or guarantee the adequacy, accuracy, or completeness of any information, the suitability or profitability of any particular investment, or the potential value of any investment or informational source. The hearer bears responsibility for his or her own investment research and decision.
Well, hello, everybody. My name is Jess Davis. I am a career strategist and founder and CEO of Resume Badge. I support job seekers as well as businesses with resume interview, job search strategy, and career matching. And I'm also one of the co-founders of the Pre-Market Movers. Really excited to have you all here today for another episode of Women's Takeover, aka Women's Wednesday. We have a phenomenal show lined up for you guys today. So go ahead and share this video, like and subscribe to our channel, and stay tuned for an amazing conversation with the Chelsea Clark, brought to us by the Kathy Gray, y'all. Let's get go.
Hey, y'all, it's your girl, the Kathy Gray. Y'all know I'm rolling, but listen, I'm so glad you guys tune in to Women's Wednesday, because guess what? We're knocking this thing out the park today. The speaker today, Chelsea, oh my God, you gotta listen. Listen, I'm the owner and founder CEO of Inside Purpose, and we are here. We're here today. We are gonna turn this thing out. So listen, stay tuned, because this is what you wanna hear. Good morning.
Good morning, good afternoon, and welcome to Women's Takeover, brought to you by the Pre-Market Movers. We are a financial education company that supports Black and Brown people with education and enlightenment in the financial literacy space. And today we are here with a wonderful guest for our Women's Takeover show. We have the Chelsea Clark with us, who is going to tell us about herself. She is a councilwoman for City of Forest Park in Ohio. She also is the founder and creator of the STEM Lab, among a host of other amazing things. So we're really excited to have you here with us, Chelsea, and looking forward to learning more about you. Would you care to introduce yourself to our community?
Sure. So thank you so much, Jessica and the Kathy Gray, for having me. I've never heard the Chelsea Clark. That made me feel really special. But yes, all those things are true. I was born and raised just outside of Lima, Ohio. So I'm a pretty country girl, grew up on a farm for the majority of my life, and proud Red Hawk, and now have lived here in the city of Cincinnati, or right outside the city of Cincinnati, in the suburbs of the city of Forest Park, for about 15 years now. So business owner, 2 kids. I love gardening, cooking, baking, and basketball.
Amazing. Well, it's such a pleasure to meet you again, and so happy to have you here, just sharing your knowledge with our community and just being able to support our movements. And the Kathy Gray and the Chelsea Clark are acquainted. Chelsea is actually a councilwoman for Kathy's place of residence. So how did you two get acquainted? How did you get to know one another?
So she was my neighbor. And I think, Kath, you have to correct me if I'm wrong. So, and our neighborhood was rather close. So I was considered the welcome committee. And I believe when she moved in, I had to go over and say, well, welcome to our street. We've got our quasi mayor of our street that lived next door to me. And And so I was just all too happy to see who was moving in and how they could be part of our, you know, extended family on our street. And so I think that's how it happened, isn't it?
Yeah, actually,
Okay.
you actually started bringing over me food and you cooked dinner.
Yes.
How weird is this? But knowing who you are and watching your journey over the last, what I've been here since 2013, 10 years, I've watched you start actually a vision, which is what she had, Jessica, her STEM lab. And I want her to go in and talk more about it because she's definitely a Black girl rocks, because it was just a thought. It was just a process. And watching her make her dream come true was amazing, because going from place to place and how's this going to work and how's that going to work, and, you know, pushing her. I'm excited just to say that I know her. Not only she's my neighbor. Chelsea, can you walk us through that process of how you became actually the first? And everybody don't know what that means, but I know you're going to tell them. Welcome to our Women Wednesdays Takeover.
I know that's right. We taking over. Look, not in a kind way. Okay. Not while we clutch our pearls. So, because we are demanding our space and our voices are finally heard. So I had been I actually graduated from Miami with business and political science. And then I went on to Notre Dame to study executive level business and administration negotiations, things like that. So I finished there. I actually became a financial analyst for quite some time, and then had our second. And then I said, oh my goodness, it got really difficult, right? As most women have struggles in the corporate workspace. And so I backed out of that and I started substitute teaching. And did that just, you know, some gas money, kind of get me out of the house here and there. And then I got divorced. So you know, I was left in a position that so many women are. You know, we didn't necessarily choose to be there, but a certain set of special circumstances, and then we find ourselves in a place where in a lot of situations we're not the financial, you know, breadwinners in those situations, and now we've got to figure out how we're going to make this work. Not only was it a physical requirement of me to kind of get now out of the home and actually work on a regular basis, but it also was extraordinarily emotional. And so I said, well, okay, so I'm out here on my own. And so I didn't have any family except for people like Kathy here in the city of in Greater Cincinnati. So I said, I'm going to do everything that I had wanted to do before I got married. And I ran for school board, and that went up in flames. I did not get on school board, and it was such a beautiful experience because I wasn't supposed to win. God had told me, he said, no, you just needed to get your confidence built up after that, you know, after a difficult relationship. And it gave me what I needed. I said, you know what, I know my work is good in terms of public service, and so then I used that energy to then run for council. So I was running for city council. I also had started a nonprofit, so Dossier, now known as Dossier STEAM. And the purpose of that was to help families, parents in particular, with their children in supplemental education for math and reading. And so that evolved into the more the STEM space, because we saw, at least I saw as an educator, even as guest teacher, was a serious lack of critical thinking and problem solving skills, particularly in our young women, our young girls, and Black students. And I said, well, I know that through STEM and by STEM, we can build those necessary skills and those soft skills in order to make sure that they can now be do what they needed to do, that their community needed them to do, and be what they needed to be for their families in an economic way, unlike any other groupings of careers, right? Because STEM careers are not only the one in highest dollar, but they're also in least representation in the Black community. We represent under 9% of all STEM careers. That's from doctors and veterinarians to scientists, chemical engineers, the entire gamut. That is a travesty, and that is a problem in the United States of America. And so I said, well, I'm going to go ahead and fix it. And so I had entered a program where I competed against 29 other companies. At the time, I was at a church, which is near our homes, Kemper Christian Kemper Road Christian Church. And I said, listen, I'm trying to start this business. Don't have no money, just got divorced. So now I'm really broke and I've got 2 kids. Could I start here maybe? And he said, absolutely. The pastor said, you can absolutely be here. Don't even pay us. I said, well, I will at least clean the toilets and the bath in the basement. And I cleaned up the basement on a weekly basis for the church and my give back. And it was a blessing to do so because someone believed in me. And don't you know, I was running and racing, first time running for a city, the Forest Park for a council seat. And I was against 8 other people. There were 8 other people. Mind you, I'm a transplant. I don't live in the city of Forest Park. I think at that time I'd been there only 7 years, maybe 7, 6, 8, something like that, 8 years maybe. So, so if you know anything about Cincinnati, it's very tight with who you know. It's, they don't like new kids on the block. And I ran that race, honey, something fierce. And not only did I beat out 29 other companies in the region for my idea of my startup, which I had kind of started beta testing it. But then I ended up winning that council seat, and I won it good too, honey. I mean, we ain't sneak by. We won that seat fair and square, and it was a shock. And so just 4 months later, with that little bitty $1,500 purse that I won, I was driving by and I said, all right, well, Lord, I'm going to go for it. I want to have a storefront. I want a brick and mortar. Let's just go, and it'll be my, this will be what I can do and bring my kids to, because I couldn't afford childcare. And don't you know, I saw a space and met the owner, and he was like, Chelsea, we'll let you start here. I love your spirit. We'll let you start here for the first month free, and adjusted my rent and made it happen. 2,500 square feet. We started that thing. I said, I'm not going to be the best. I don't have any money, but I knew I was going to be the first. I was going to be the first full service STEM privately owned company in the region. And just, this is our 5th year anniversary right now. And now we've got about 7,000 square feet in a city in Blue Ash, which is a neighboring city. One of the highest, wealth demographics in Hamilton County. So kind of excited. We did it.
The entire time you were speaking, really, I just was smiling the whole time because everything resonated with me. And I'm like, are we twins, girl? Because we have the same exact story. I was an educator as well. And, then I studied business. And then I got divorced and found that fire. So I just wanted to say I'm incredibly, incredibly proud of you for just overcoming some of these roadblocks and obstacles and just emerging on top. So I know that was kind of your journey with the STEM Lab. And I saw also that you partner with different organizations. I saw you were connected with Girl Scouts of Ohio, as well as Cincinnati Christian.
Cincinnati Museums Children's Center.
Yes,
we've got collective visions. We work with the disabled population and give them a space and they help out, and so that they can connect to our communities. Jack and Jill was here.
Wow.
A couple weeks ago. We've got Cub Scouts. We even have the Butler County water. What is it? The Butler County water treatment folks. We work with them in dozens of schools. So, Central State University, I certainly cannot forget them. The Cincinnati Zoo, and I will, if you don't mind, I'd like to, well, I'll bring it up when you'll probably ask me one of my greatest accomplishments. I'll have to bring that up.
No, you need to bring it up now.
Okay, we're bringing it up now, right now. Aorta, okay? So through my company, and I remember I told y'all I'm a country girl, so grew up in the country. So a lot of my roots are very, the dirt is real, especially red, right? And we grew up on raising Black Angus. And so all the farming and growing and the Kathy Gray is phenomenal at that. But I started working with Rockdale Academy. Rockdale Academy is in the heart of a place called Avondale, which is one of the most economically deprived areas of all of Cincinnati. 100% free and reduced lunch. It's a fresh food desert. And I started working there, started there for free because I just wanted the experience and wanted to kind of get my feet wet and see if we could get some things happening. And a couple years later, I applied for a grant. I get a call back to a grant to the Cincinnati Zoo, and Steve Fultz calls me back and he's like, Chelsea, he was like, you want this pollinator grant for this school? He said, is there something else? And at that time I was a global conservation consultant. He said, I want you to think about if you could get anything, if you could ask for anything, what would it be? Oh, you ain't said nothing but a word, honey. You asked the Black woman, anything for these children in the community? Listen, I want a solar powered greenhouse. I want over an acre of vegetation. I want to be able to study the work. I want to create an entrepreneurship program in agriculture for the future green collar workers of America, which will be a lot of our minority children. I want to get all sorts of tech involved in this work, pawpaw trees, all of it. And don't you know, 2.5 years later, that vision came to life. We have an amphitheater. We have 2 Quonset huts. We have the only public and private partnership that the Midwest has ever seen, and over an acre of edible and flowering vegetation. We even have, I also wanted a sensory garden, because we also have an autism unit at Rockdale Academy, and we're the only ones that do have it, where we've got we've got all sorts of textures and smells, and plants that have certain reactions. It's an enclosed space. It fits their needs. Things are at eye level. It is absolutely gorgeous. And I've got a oh goodness, I think it's 5,000 square foot solar power greenhouse. And now we just have installed about a 240 square foot hydroponic system. You haven't seen this. So for our students to be able to be connected to spaces like this, and Ohio, our number one resources is agriculture. And we have not been given platforms and entryways into this space, both economically, when it comes to having to buy property, nor through just through sitting on committees or working in our neighborhoods for fresh food access. So I am absolutely thrilled. It's probably the joy of my life in terms of second to my children. No, I take that back. They're teenagers. So it's the best thing. It's the best thing. It's the best career thing that's ever happened.
That's amazing. And I saw in your bio that you're a 6th generation farmer. So you're not new to this. You are true to
this.
Oh
no, listen, I have multiple guns. I can shoot what I can,
yes.
What I kill. If it's a squirrel or a rabbit, yes, ma'am.
That's amazing.
That Remington will get them good.
Right, right. I saw also that, so you're doing a lot of amazing things, Chelsea. You are serving your community. You are building out sustainability through agriculture. You are giving back to the kids. Some of your challenges and obstacles that you faced and how you were able to overcome them.
For business, business, I mean, the number one issue that we end up having is that we have capital. We don't get fair access to capital. And so the only way I was able to overcome that was to just literally work my hind parts off. And I didn't pay myself for the first 3.5, almost 4 years of my business. I didn't. I put every single dime, I put it all back into my company. And quite honestly, it shouldn't have to be like that. That's not the way it should have to be. We are every bit of capable, and people and institutions need to take the same gamble on us as they do white men with new ventures, especially knowing what, the change that we can affect, and that we're taking on in most cases much more risk than our counterparts. So I was not from the STEM space, meaning I didn't have, my background is in business and political science, educate academically. I didn't have background in science or engineering, which most people are floored about. So I had to dig in 10 toes, and I read everything I could, and I implemented things. I'm really great at putting things together logically. and I'm really great at engagement and building confidence in children. And so you got to use your passion. When it keeps waking you up at night and it keeps bothering you and tugging at you, you figure out how to make it work. It's been a very lonely journey. It's been a lot of traversing over a lot of hurdles. I ran for Ohio Secretary of State. The Ohio Secretary of State, like other secretaries of state throughout the entire country, are the ones that are the chief overseer of elections. They handle all the voting. And if you know anything about what just happened in our last presidential election, then to be the supreme entity, or the one that has authority over voting practices and basically who has the right to vote and access to the polls, that is where it stops. That's what Trump was trying to do. Remember, is paying off the Georgia Secretary of State, and that didn't even work. And so it was not only is it at an extraordinary time, the state of Ohio has never had a Black female Secretary of State, and they've never had a Black Democrat to run for Secretary of State. And so it presented certainly a lot of challenges, because initially that people are already assuming that you have no clue what you're talking about. That, I'm also young too. So I'm younger than most everyone in the political arena as well. So, how are you going to do that, and how can you manage? And then of course you're a woman. So I've got this triple issues. I'm Black, I'm a woman, and I'm a younger person. And it was everything from, we would go to events and certain counterparts would pull out, and then you can't have the event. So you've traveled 4 hours on very meager campaign dollars, and now you can't even get any platform time. It's difficult in raising the money compared to white male counterparts. It's extremely difficult. I ended up raising the most money in the first quarter. I actually raised more than the Republican governor behind DeWine in that first quarter, with over 6 figures just in under 3 months. And so it's, I performed very well, but Ohio is a very, very tough state. And unfortunately, we don't have the support structure, and Black people as well. You have to vote, and we still are confused about how the process works. There are so many games that are being played at the state level with our voting, whether it's taking out polling places and precincts. When you close those, now you're closing up. Now you maybe have a very transportation dependent or public transportation dependent community, and you take that precinct away from them, you close it, and now you've got to try to find another place to go. ID laws now have changed. That makes it difficult. If I'm a poor person, I shouldn't have to have an actual driver's license ID in order to vote. It is my right as an American citizen. And so we take things away from the poor, and then we also make it difficult just by registration. So voter registration is absolutely treacherous. It's not Jim Crow. It's not, hey, you can't vote. But what has happened or it's not literacy tests anymore, right? It's death by 1,000 cuts. So if I decide the Secretary of State has the supreme authority to say, you know what, we're just going to remove people from the rolls. Now, you want to remove people that have moved, and you want to remove people that have passed away. But what we are finding, and what we found 2019 and other years, you're talking about tens of thousands of people being removed from the rolls. In that case, I think it was over 300,000 some. Well, tens of thousands of those were known to be Democratic voters primarily, and they actually had not changed addresses, and they had not passed away. And so if I can get people out of the system even earlier, and then when they come to vote, oh, you're not registered. Now I've lost a voter, they're frustrated. There's they make it bureaucratic. It's terrifying, because everything from our educational system to our tax structures to the resources our communities are dying for. They are suffering from medical healthcare access, Black women in reproductive health issues. We're dying, we're 4 times more likely to die with just having a baby in 2022, 2023. That's insane. And so all those issues start there. And until we fix that place, there is no equality, and there sure as hell can't be any justice.
So, Chelsea, let me ask you one question. And I walked through that process with you, and I want to say thank you because you amazingly represented us well. Trust me, you did. Now, when you spoke about
a lot of times I wanted to curse people out, but my granny was like, no, don't let them pitch you off. Don't let them pitch you off. I'm like, Lord Jesus, won't he do it?
As a business owner, and we have a lot of people, and I'm down the street from her office, Jess. This will be my 3rd year, and we partner up. Can you explain to some of the people why being an LLC and an S Corp is very important to do your proper paperwork? Because I teach and train people how to do that. Can you tell the people the pitfalls that you run across as a business owner who does real business, who is a real tax person? Let them know how real it is and what some of the things that you've ran across since you've been in your own business.
Oh, that's a little bit trickier of a question, because when I first started, I actually didn't know all the ins and outs of it, because I was like, I gotta get this quick LLC in here and I just gotta get it started. And I do have a tax professional that takes care of those things for me. So the biggest issues that I've encountered is when you're talking about making real money, and I don't want to listen, whatever money you're making, if you only need to make $1,000 a month for your business because it's your side thing and that helps you get some peace or whatever that is, that's your real money. So I don't want people to feel like, if you're not making tens of thousands a month, that's not. But once we got into the like 30, 20s, 30,000s a month, I had to pass that. I was like, I don't know what, I had to pass that stuff over. But the biggest issue, or the biggest lessons for me, were in really the lack of business credit that I was building. And I had been so accustomed to doing it on my own, financing things on my own, that I really did myself a disservice with the structuring of my business and how it was making issues for me tax wise and making it more difficult to actually apply for things. So I would say that the best thing that's happened for me is building up my business credit so that I can borrow and use capital as opposed to doing my own. Because when you work in this space, we're typically net 30, which means that we're net 30 with partners that are school districts, right? Because they don't pay immediately, and it's a red tape and all nonsense. So it'll take them 30 days to pay. Well, typically it takes them 60 to 90 days to actually pay me for services that we've rendered, that we've already rendered. Case in point, last summer, I had to front about $40,000 to $50,000 because you still have to pay for staff, all the materials, transportation, etc. And I had to wait like almost 3 months. And that's also a challenge when you look at our Black businesses or our Black female businesses, because how many people can have access to that much money and still keep their business afloat? Now I pay $5,100 a month in rent at my commercial property. So how are you able to keep the lights on? And that's just rent, that's not utilities. How do you make those things work? You've got to be pretty damn frugal.
I wanted to turn it over to Jess after this. The reason why I asked that question is because I've been in my business for 3 years, and I do a dose of disability with the 1099. People don't understand there is a real difference between the S corp and the LLC, and that's why. And that's why I'm having a conference, Chelsea, and I'm also invite you there, that I'm teaching people who are wanting to start a business and do it the right way and then get that funding. But I appreciate the direction you went and being transparent. Now back to you, Jessica.
Oh yeah, I don't know all of it. I've had a lot of it was trial and error. When I started seeing that things were, the dollars were looking different, and I was paying, even in how I was paying my employees, I unnecessarily spent $6,000 on some payroll taxes and things that happened. I said, oh, whoa, on some temporary summer employees, we had some issues. And that's when I started to really readjust things. And I think that we also have to have really known people, because just because somebody's the loudest or the most popular people to handle our money does not mean that they are the best. You really need someone that's almost forensically capable of understanding the cash flows that are coming in and out, and all, there's a reason why people start businesses. I can't remember the document or the section in the IRS, but if you're not combing through those pages and your tax professional or your accountant's not making sure that you're getting every single one of those as write-offs and advantageous to your business, it's a problem. And it took me 4 years to learn that, and I've lost money because of that. Sorry, Jess.
No, it's okay. I know you had spoken also about the funding piece and just being able to kind of get your foot in the door to kind of just be able to make ends meet. And Black women historically have been receiving, year after year, less than 0.5% for business funding from venture capitalists and venture VC funds. How are you able to leverage maybe your partnerships that you have within the community to spread the word about your business, spread the knowledge about the STEM Lab?
I think when I started, I grind, and Kathy can tell you, it was a pure and utter grind. When I tell you, I would call all sorts of places. I would do things for discounts. I would do things, or at a discounted rate rather. I do things for free, and I reached out to everyone all the time. I would go through my networks of people. Hey, we can do this STEM programming. Let's try it. Let's go with the YMCA. We get a contract here, get a contract here, and before you knew it, we're at the point now where I don't have to ask to be in the room. We're now invited to, regional events and things like that. And it's nice, but it's because I had to create my own platform. The biggest issue I had was that nobody knew me synonymously with being anything STEM. And so I said, that's cool. So I'm giving myself a year, and I will live, eat, and breathe STEM, quite literally, drink it, live it.
I love that cup.
And I only drink it periodically. And so I'm so corny. And so
that's a good one.
I try, and so that's what we did. My God, just that's how you had to get it. You had to just be there. You also have to have really good quality too. You have to understand who you are marketing to. So many times we get married to things, and I had to not be married to. I love my company, but I can change and shift at a moment's notice, and I'm very, very flexible. When I see that those registrations aren't working, you know what? That's not the price point that's going to work for this community. I didn't target this properly. I quit. I make very, very, very quick, swift changes. When the pandemic hit, think about our business. It is highly person to person. You're making a volcano, you're doing color change and pH experiments and doing robots and stuff, building robots and stuff. It's actually hard to do it virtually. I would not prefer it like that, because that takes away from the learning that children are able to have, being tactile or being able to touch and use their hands. And so when the pandemic hit, and by the way, that was the first month I had started to pay myself. I paid myself $1,500. You couldn't tell me nothing. I have $1,500. And then three weeks later, we went into school, and they said, we're not going to be in school for a little bit. And then everything shut down. And that was that. And I said, whoa, okay. So after I pouted I give myself a 24-hour pout time. I did my 24-hour pout. And then Chelsea, like my mom says, ain't nobody else gonna care about your little brown skin self except you, so fight for it. And I started I said, well, I'm gonna make these daggone things portable. And then I would go to Family Dollar and get gift bags and shiny gift bags. And then I'd print off what was the contents and stuff. And every week we would have a new distribution coming out. And we were able to, I think I turned that around in less than 4 weeks. And so it got to the place where we had like assembly lines, and I'm doing orders. We got an order of 300 STEM kits, and we're all in here just, making it work. And thank God we did. And we kept those dollars, because I moved into this 7,000 square foot facility in the pandemic 2 years ago in January, and I had COVID. Before the shot was even out, I was sick. I thought I was gonna die, sick as a dog. But he made a way because I had worked extraordinarily hard and I did the preparation.
Yes.
So sorry.
Yes.
Follow the question.
Yes, so that was also the time when you was transitioning, getting ready to move into that big building. Remember, that was not easy. Oh my God.
It was not, because I remember, so being with COVID, I remember being so winded, I could not do meetings. So I couldn't even do virtual meetings because I couldn't talk. I had to stop sending emails because you get a brain fog. And I was sending emails that I did not realize that at the time. And they kept coming back like, what? And I just had to, and I had to stop. And I mean, to have to move on your own, and you can't have any money coming in. And I did not get any PPP money. Because, I knew that, there were just things that just did not, you see all these other companies that are completely fictitious, and you've got like, what, $100,000? I was like, man. And so part of it was just, they just denied. And I mean, I was very honest. I'm very honest in how I conduct business and things like that. And maybe that's the consequence, but nevertheless, we are fine, and I can't fail. He's not going to let me fail.
Amazing. Well, I don't want to take too much more of your time. Wanted to just see if you had any final thoughts, any words to share with our community, and how can we get in touch with you? How can we support you?
I just lastly will say that a lot of time you have to be really, really careful. That looks crazy. Okay, these are new. I was trying to do something different, and they're driving.
You're cute, girl.
Thank you. I'm like,
She not telling you the truth. Her hair is probably down to her back, in the middle of her back. She just being lazy because it's all naturally curly, curly, curly. It's longer than what she got, so she's cheating.
I am
protected
lazy. It's called a protect. That's right. It's called a protected style.
Next week,
and I'm protected. So you have, as business owners, we have to be very, very careful that there's a thing called vision, of course, obviously, and we build a thing based on the vision, but be very, very mindful that sometimes what we erect or what evolves out of it, it may not look exactly like the way you intended it or you thought it would look. That does not mean that you're on the wrong track. That does not mean that you're not fulfilling the purpose, and that does not mean that it's not covered, and doesn't mean that it's not where you're supposed to be at that time. I could not in a million years I could not have conceived what we have here now. I just couldn't have thought of it. And sometimes when we put those parameters up, it blocks us from it stunts our movements, because we're trying to make these moves that are in alignment with what our mind is seeing it is supposed to look like. And you can't do that. You also cannot wait for a perfect time. I don't think I've had a perfect time. Listen, since the divorce, I've not had a perfect time to start a business. And I knew one thing. I said, all the hell I went through and the fight of my life to make sure that I could get through it sanely, in a way that I can be something to these kids and still try to have something, because I was a financial analyst and still had relinquished all of my financial resources up. and dependent on that person because I was very submissive, which I have no problem still being, and the right individual was there, but I'm not going to do it financially, but it put me in a bad place. And so I felt that, and so I kind of got off track, but I'm saying that because there was just never a good time to do it. And I knew, I was like, you know what, if I'm going to get this alimony, what we're going to do is we're going to build something with it that can't be torn down. What we're going to do is we're going to create a legacy with it. And then I'm going to have a reminder of this is what, although this is what happened, this is how I'm coming out of it. Because I guarantee you, I will be successful and a force to be reckoned with at the end of this. And I will use that money that you have to work extra hard for to pay your little reparations for your nonsense. And I'm going to build something really, really great. And so and so that's how I made it. And listen, by the time those 3.5 years was up with that alimony, the STEM lab was up and functioning and fully. And I tell you what, it was the best. I could not have made it if I tried to wait and like, well, maybe I'll just squirrel it away and this and this and this. No, your job is to get out there and to do the work. And there's no substitute for it either. You asked about community partnerships. The one thing I want to tell you is that I'm also the youngest trustee on the Southwestern Ohio Regional Transit Authority. So that is our public transit authority. The reason that matters is because we are the #1 performing transit authority in the entire country. Yes, New York has not come up to us. Yes, Chicago doesn't ruffle our feathers. Yes, LA and Dallas cannot go toe to toe. We were the only transit authority whose CEO, Daryl Haley, was invited to the White House in order to speak before the commission to get those infrastructure dollars. That is why we saw those hundreds of millions of dollars flow throughout this entire country. We are well positioned. We are doing extraordinarily well. And because of my leadership on the board, our diversity spend, meaning that we are now investing in Black-owned businesses and women-led businesses, has gone up how many percent? Take a guess in the 2 years that I've been on this commission, on this authority.
10.
I won't say over 85, but I ain't gonna say it. Go ahead.
How much?
10.
No.
10? You said 10%?
No.
Keep going.
Keep going. All right, 20.
All right, you want me to tell you?
Yeah.
Go ahead and hold on to your britches. It has gone up 6,000%.
Get out.
So when when we want to be at a table, baby, I take being at a table to a whole. I bring my own chair. It's nice and padded.
Chelsea is the table.
Because we're not gonna sit at these tables, and that's also a message. When you are a business, I'm also one of the only business owners on this commission, aside from another Black lady who's phenomenal, Gwen Robinson. She has a consulting business. But when you're at the table and you're in charge of, I'm in charge of the largest budget in all of transit, in the entire country. And I had to ride their asses side saddle about diversity spend.
Yes, you wrote
it. And you have to be like, well, okay, now you want to give some ducats to some minority businesses. Well, looking at this contract, what was it last year when you gave it to the white folks? Mm-hmm. You have to ask those questions, right? That part, was there a cost of living, or was there an inflation that was added to that? Is the term the same? Did this go out to bid? If the Black companies aren't trying to go to bid for these dollars, why is that? Is it based on our placement? Is it based on how much information? Is it based on the time frame of that RFP that got put out? You cannot have gifts and skill sets in these communities and sit in places of positions of power and sit back and just watch things happen and then vote yeses on them. Your job is to advocate. Your job is to question every single time, and you not be a bit ashamed of it, because you are speaking for hundreds, possibly thousands of people whose businesses can't even become anything, and you're going to kill their business if you stay silent. So I also started our city's first minority business initiative. We've got over 80%.
Saw that. I was going to ask you about that.
So we've got over approaching over almost 80% of diversity in the city of Forest Park. Most folks don't know that. Our council is made up of 7 individuals. They are all African American. Most people don't know that. Forest Park was the one of the highest wealth centers back in the day, but if you rewind about 60, 70 years ago, and now that it's changed. But making sure that we create that space and we create opportunity for business owners is absolutely what I do. I do it very well. And we've got to keep, because I also sit on the Economic Development Commission. That commission is the one that says, okay, we're going to do a tax incentive for you as a company. And you daggone better believe I'm getting up there fighting, because it is not fair. It is not a fair shake if I've got to use $10,000 of everything I generate, and you have $10,000 on a credit card that you only have to pay back $120 a month or something. It's not a fair playing field. And so whatever opportunities we have in those spaces, you have to come and you have to show up, and you've got to absolutely demand, and you can't back down. It was a point of issue when I started the Minority Business Initiative, because I didn't go through channels. I'm a duly elected official, and I sit on a commission, and in our bylaws, we are endowed with the authority to create subcommittees. Don't keep asking for what you're allowed to do. You better know one of the quotes, and I'll leave you with this, and then I'll hush up and shush and then tell you where you'll find me. But I'll leave you with this. The quote, and I don't know if I have it exact, but it went something like, the reason most people lose their power is because they don't even know they have it. And so if you're going to be a part of these, there's all these incubators, there's all this stuff. Guess what? Just because somebody's going to give you some education in business or how to start it up doesn't mean that you can't negotiate as well. They're asking you to take time away from your business for 6, 12 weeks at a time. You may want to negotiate some things on how they can possibly pay you or give you handle your marketing. Who else in that team can handle my marketing? Because now you're taking away valuable time from my business, because I'm not guaranteed $100,000 at the end of this event or this program. So you have to negotiate and fight for your little brown skin self at all times. You can find me on Facebook at Chelsea Clark. You can also find me on Facebook at Chelsea Clark, Forest Park City Councilwoman. You can find me on LinkedIn under the same. And my website for my company is cincystemlab.com.
Excellent.
Can you say that website again?
Yes, Cincy, CINCY, STEMlab.com. And if you get a chance, definitely check out that video on there. I don't know why in the heck it's got a seal on the thing. It looks silly, but trust me, the video is awesome. Another lady, Pamela Scott, she did this video for me, and she's a rock star.
Well, there
Chelsea,
you have it.
Go ahead. I'm sorry, Jess.
Oh, yeah. I just wanted to thank you again, Chelsea, for just spending this time with us and just pouring so much into our community, our digital community. And I know I was personally inspired because, I'm a single mom, and just hearing your story and how you've just been able to overcome your obstacles and just build something great, not just for yourself, for your children, but also your community. We thank you for everything that you're doing. So definitely check out cincystemlab.com and connect with Chelsea. Go ahead, Kathy. Sorry about that.
That's okay. And I'm just so excited to say that I actually know someone who ran for office and who's my neighbor. But one thing I want to leave with the community before I give my word of the day is that never give up, because when you give up, that means you never tried. And if you never tried, you never knew you could win. If you never win, you never decide to play the game. So stay focused. And Chelsea, we really appreciate you, because you're showing us as Black and brown people, we can do it. Just don't give up, especially during the pandemic. And my word for the day is don't give up. Never give up. You know why? Because if you give up, opportunity does not know it exists. Let me explain to you why I say that. When an opportunity does not know it exists, it never had an opportunity to grow. So today I started my garden. What I did was I pulled out all the old weeds. I pulled out all the old bushes, because in order for me to give it something, an opportunity to grow, I got to clear the path. What do you mean by that? Clearing the path means giving it an opportunity to have a fair shake in life, which means to have a fair shake in the ground. My seeds are going to grow. My greens are going to be good. My tomatoes are going to be amazing. And whatever I plant, it's going to grow. I give you this word today to tell you, you are going to grow. Go out, clear out the grass, clear out the bushes, clear out the trash, clear out things even in your life that does not need to be there. Because if you leave it, it will only stunt your growth. Not only that, it will keep you from being your potential. Listen, you guys always know I have to give you that word. And I want you to grow and continue to grow. And remind your grow. When you grow, you're growing tall. Listen, I'm your girl, D. Kathy Gray. As I always say, remember, if no one told you today they love you, guess what? I love you and I really do mean it. Be blessed. Take care of yourself. Have a good day. Goodbye.
Absolutely amazing. I need to.
She does it every day.
She does. Oh yeah, I love that energy. But she has lifted me up when, honey, I thought there wasn't gonna be a next day. She has brought me through fire and brimstone. She actually lives. She not only, a lot of these people that want a following and whatnot, they do it because they get on YouTube and then they see what may be trending. And then what they try to do is go ahead and just try to emulate something else or be the hot spot thing. And all they're doing is just borrowing, taking from other people. She literally lives the life that she is talking about and that she is pouring into you on a screen, like on a daily basis. There's not been a time that I haven't needed her. I've called on her and she's not been there. Never happened.
She's an amazing person to have in your corner.
She's my best friend, Jessica. She's not here. I really like you, Jessica.
I'm so glad we got to connect. I definitely want to keep in touch with you, Councilwoman Chelsea. You are definitely a light, and I'm so excited that Kathy has introduced you to me and to our community.
Oh, I am too. I'm so excited. I think what you guys are doing is, man, it's gonna be a game changer. It's going to be a game changer. Sometimes, sis, guess what? You don't get to wear red bottoms. You don't get to go shopping for 6 months. You better go in there and eat some ravioli. Like I legit had to. Look, where'd it go? I'm serious. I went to Family Dollar today and got some raviolis and the little warm-up thing. I was like, well, I'll have that for lunch tomorrow because today I had Chick-fil-A, so I splurged today, but that's what I'm gonna have tomorrow. And so you got to balance that stuff. People keep acting like, well, how did you? First of all, watch what the hell I was spending.
Chelsea, I want to bless you with something. I just thought about it. What was those shoes you had on the other day that when we did our community event? Jessica, I'm on a community board as well. I run the rec committee in the city. What was those shoes you had on, Chelsea? Those black shoes. Tell it.
My Tory Burches.
Guess what I'm gonna do? I have one Tory Burch purse and it's black and I'm giving it to you. That is to say thank you. That is to say thank you. But you didn't have to do it. It is yours. As soon as I get to the house, I'm bringing it to you. It is yours to have. I don't want nothing from it. You've given to the community. You're an amazing person. And I just want to let you know that I appreciate you. People don't always say that. Because when I was struggling trying to figure it out, I was helping you trying to figure it out, but me helping you helped me. So this is what I want to do. And I genuinely believe what you're doing is not only going to move a mill hole, it's going to move a mountain of people. So you stay focused regardless. Every day you don't want to get up, you get up anyway. Every day you get tired, you move anyway. And I've watched you do it. I've watched you fight it. I watched you lose your father. I watched you lose your fiance, and you kept going. You wanted to get up, and I was like, I will threaten you. I will beat you up. And you kept getting up, and you kept getting up. And I want to applaud you. I want to applaud you because, my friend, you had every right to give up, but you fought because you have those babies. And Jessica, she is a prime example of losing everything starting over and said, I'm gonna keep going. And she's still going. And I applaud you. My horn honk is an applause.
Well, Chelsea, I just added you on LinkedIn. We're friends now, so.
Oh, thank you. I wasn't ready. I wasn't gonna talk about that in the thing. I'm not ready to talk about it.
That's beautiful, y'all.
Not ready to talk about that yet.
Crying up in here, stop it.
Girl. So anyway, yep, that's anyway, oh well. We are here and
Chelsea,
go to Papa Dough.
before you go home, stop by and get your purse so you can wear your purse and your shoes at Papa Dough.
Get your purse, Chelsea. She got me a purse too, and I'll be wearing it around.
And
listen,
you may see that one that may be your Papa Dough. Oh,
listen.
all right, Chelsea. Let me let you go because me and Jess got to finish the close out of the show.
Oh, I'm sorry.
No, that's okay.
Don't worry.
Stop by the house. No, because we can chop all this off. Stop by the house to come get your purse and be dressed and just bring a couple of things to put it in because I'm gonna give you your purse.
Okay. Yay, I'm excited. Thank you.
Thank you
girl.
so much.
Love you guys. I'm so proud of you. You are doing it. Proud of you.
So
Thank
proud of you. Appreciate having you. And
Nice to meet you,
too.
Jessica.
Bye.
All right.
So not too much going on in the market right now. The economy is still trying to figure itself out. So what that means is our labor market is also trying to figure itself out a bit. Right now, unemployment, as we saw over the last month, did increase. It rose from 3.4 to about 3.6%. And so we have some sectors that are being impacted directly and some that are actually benefiting from some of the changes that we're seeing happening in our global environment. So as far as sectors that are currently experiencing some of the most job growth, we have leisure and hospitality, which has added 105,000 jobs in the last month. We also have retail and trade that has added 50,000 jobs. Government has added 46,000 jobs to the market, and healthcare has increased by 44,000 jobs. So in addition, we also have some sectors that are currently not performing, have missed a few performance indicators this past quarter in earnings season. So sectors that we're seeing currently impacted, as we know, tech has significantly been impacted over the last few months with the mass layoffs that we're seeing across the board. And that trend continues. The information technology sector has declined by another 25,000 jobs over the past month. And in addition, we saw transportation and warehouse down about 22,000, as well as construction and declines in food services and finance and insurance as well, which we'll probably start to see more of with the latest developments that are happening within the banking sector. Wanted to share my screen really quickly so we can see some organizations that are currently having some layoffs. So some notable layoffs that we're seeing. We have Hulu, which has recently had a decline of, my screen froze. Oh, there it goes. Hulu has let go of about 200 people in the last few days. And we also had a decline, layoffs from Roku, which let go also about 200 people. Few other companies, those are the most notable. We also have some companies outside of the country as well that are experiencing some issues. But no, Roku and Hulu kind of contribute to both the media and the tech issues that we're seeing right now. And so I'm gonna watch this space very closely, see if any latest developments happen. I do know that Roku was one of the companies that was impacted by the recent decline, the recent crash of Silicon Valley Bank, and had a lot of money being housed within that bank. So we will continue to see how these latest banking declines impact our community as well as impact our economy. And stay tuned. So that's my career job market report for today. Thank you.
Mic check, 1, 2. All right, hello everybody. So, sorry, today I am not going to be able to be on video because I am on vacation and the lighting here is horrible. I did just try to figure it out, but it's not working. So, what we're going to do is just take a look at our regular stuff really quickly. I know you haven't heard from me this week. Hopefully, if you had a chance, you maybe looked at the YouTube video that I did this past Saturday. So you can see that, we started a new quarter, we started a new month. So things are a little uncertain right now. So what I really do like is that we can sit here and kind of watch what's going on. So looking at the VIX here, so far we aren't doing a whole lot. We know that we have sold off a little bit this week, but they've been buying the dip. So, the VIX is still in that downtrend. For the most part, it popped a little bit, but then it came right back in. So we can continue to think that as long as the VIX is in this downtrend, if it pops, it usually comes right back in. So we'll just have to kind of watch it. Remember, this is a solid support, this 1850 area, but we still do have a little bit more room to the downside to go. Sorry for the noise, you guys. So yeah, if this 1850 is that solid support, and then the next support is going to be about right here at 18. So yeah, we're still in that downtrend, so keep that in mind. As long as that goes on, we will probably continue to be in that buy the dip mode. And then if you look here at the dollar has been dropping for about as long as we've been in this buy the dip mode. It is sitting at a support here though, this 101.50, but it can still drop a little bit more to 186, and then it can actually go a little bit further if that's a strong support. But if it does want to continue dropping, it can come a little below 100. I really think that 100 would be an area where it will get stopped at first. But then if it does want to go sub 100, then it does have some room to get down. It can get down here to about 98. So keep an eye on DXY, because if it still continues to drop, then we can look for bullish activity in the market. So I also want to preface that me being on vacation this week, I haven't really looked at the markets these last couple of days, but looking at it now, we're kind of looking at it together, and I like that this specific show where you guys can see my chart, so you can kind of see me looking at it at the same time. So we said that, DXY is in that downtrend, and then you can kind of see here how it's wedging. It's wedging really, but we're looking to see if it breaks this support. We're looking to see if it's going to come down to that 100 support. So that's what we're looking for with DXY. So the Dow is interesting because, so remember we were talking about how it was stuck in this area for the longest. It washed below, came back up, was stuck here for months, washed below, really washed below, and now it's really back up into the same chop area. The same chop area. If you look at it on the weekly, that's all it did, was that same chop area broke down and then it came right back up into it. So we're really right here at this this same chop area. So this is a resistance, this 335.84. If it can break above that, then I am looking for 343 and then possibly 347.90 on the Dow. Consequently, looking at it on the daily, it is back above its 200. So if it breaks below 332.50, the 200 is going to be our support. So about 329, 330. Y'all remember these levels from back here, right? Because we're right back in this level. So the 330 is going to be my next support. And then we'll have 326.70 and then 325.23 is going to be a really solid support. So one thing I want to point out here while y'all are looking is we got an inverted head and shoulders here. This is your shoulder, your head, and this will be your shoulder area. So from 336 to about 325 is a shoulder area that it can chop in before it decides to continue up. And then the levels that I gave you to the upside will be your upside targets. Okay, so NASDAQ, I wanted to point out something, was that it barely took out last month's high and came right back in. So that's something we want to be aware of because it has been kind of on a tear, and it did kind of fill the little gap that we had at the 13 to 14-ish, yeah, 215. So watching the NASDAQ, it's a little overextended, so we want to see if there's going to be some correction. But we know we do still have some upside to go to. My strongest support on the NASDAQ is going to be down here at this 200 that it's kind of boomed from, and that's at 12,252. So my next upside targets, the resistance here is that first one, last week's high, which is going to be 13,189. So if we can get past there, and then 13,725 is going to be my next upside target on the NASDAQ. As you can see, also, we broke out of this range here. And when I was talking to y'all last week, I talked about this inverted head and shoulders. And it has basically played out. So, yeah, before, I know I did say 12,238. We're a little far from that. So my first supports on this is going to be 12,958, 12,876, and then we have a gap here on the day at 12,659. So those are things I want you to be aware of. The levels I want you to be aware of before we get down to this 200 at 12,258. And then I already gave you the upside levels. So now looking at Microsoft, because of course Microsoft and Apple are going to affect NASDAQ, right? And of course Q's and SPY when we get to that. So basically, this week, what we've seen is not a whole lot of anything, to be honest. Today, although I wasn't playing the market, I did see that we had a nice sell-off, but then they brought it back up. And then you can see right here that we ended as a doji on the day. So there's not really anyone in control here. This is honestly in a box. So this box will be my resistance. 290 is going to be my resistance, and my support is going to be about 285. Keep in mind with Microsoft, there is another small gap here, a small gap to the upside. So if it pushes 296.63 is the first gap upside target, and then you have this 309.63 will be, well, about 310 will be your upside targets for that. Microsoft is at a strong resistance though, which you can see though, but if it decides to boom out, then that will be my upside targets. To the downside, we have 284, 283, and then I'm going for this gap here, which is about 276.53. Our 200 is way down here, so keep that in mind. But yeah, that's what I'm seeing so far with Microsoft. I believe, yeah, that's the monthly target, that 294, 295-ish, which will almost fill the gap. So looking at Apple, and I know I'm going, you guys, but y'all didn't see me Monday, so we're going to go through everything today. Apple is looking a little similar to Microsoft in the sense of it's been pushing up, and it does still have magnitude to the upside. If it does want to go, it can get to about 176. That would be my monthly target for Apple, 176. Keep in mind we are above this 200 here, so basically we're still in buy the dip mode. So 176 would be my upside target. Actually 171 first, and then 174 and 176. Downside targets, you got support here at 165, 164.34, and then about 163. We do have a gap here at 158.57 that we want to be aware of, because Apple may, at least correct down to there, and that would be honestly a great dip buy. And then your final support is going to be here at the 200, which is way down at 149.35. So we're still in buy the dip mode. That's basically what I'm seeing on these charts here. Fully green with some corrective activity. The Qs look just like Apple, where, it's boom. I mean, even over here to the left, it looks exactly the same. So resistance here is 321.73. We can push past that. We have 327.19, and then about 330 on the Qs. I believe. Let me check here. I thought it was. No, I thought I was looking for I thought it was a gap there on the week that I had seen, but it must not have been the Qs. But yeah, so those are my upside levels. And then to the downside, we have here, if it breaks at 317.70, then my next target will be 315.62. And then I would target this gap down here at 308.47. And then finally, the 200 is around 300. I think that will be a solid support there. So, well, actually, before I get to SPY, let me do IWM. So IWM is honestly the weakest out of the bunch. And I did want to point out that IWM consists of some of the regional banks. So that's why this is weaker right now. But you can kind of see it's still trading kind of in a box. This box extends from about 191 to about 164. That is just kind of bounced in between, but it cannot hold above 191. So it's almost like when every time it pops above there, they short it right back down. But the way it's looking right now is it has triggered our outside week. And you guys know I've mentioned to you before that means that what we would do is target last week's low. So it's triggered the outside week to the downside. As long as it stays under 175.50, it may outside week. And your target is going to be 172.36. So if it does stay under that, then that's what I would target to the downside. However, it is sitting at a support, as you can see here. So if this support holds, this 174.54, then it may move to the upside from here. What I do want to point out also is this tiny little inverted head and shoulders here. So we're still in that shoulder area, and it can drop all the way down to about 172.41, even as low about 171. And as long as it doesn't drop below this head, then this head and shoulders may still boom, and it may come on up to here to this 200, or even try to fill this gap that we were talking about before. So looking at SPY, so SPY has finally broken above its 200. When we talked last week, we were like this. We were here, and we said, oh, we closed above the 200. That's good. That's bullish. We're doing good. What I pointed out to you guys, and now you can see it, was the head and shoulders that I saw on the day, and this downtrend resistance. So I'll let you know that the shoulder area. This was the shoulder. This is the head, and this was the shoulder. And so the shoulder could go all the way up into about 410. And so we're still there. It broke above a little and it came back in. So I'm really watching SPY right here because we're really at the top of my shoulder level. This shoulder could still even come up to the top of this resistance line, which would be about 413. If it breaks out of there, then that will invalidate the structure for me. Another thing I want to point out is the shorter term inverted head and shoulders that we saw. I pointed this out a couple of weeks ago. Even though we have this larger term head and shoulders, this shorter term inverted head and shoulders is what helped with this boom. So now we are looking to see if SPY is going to continue because it rejected right here. So the next upside target would be that 413. If it does boom past there, I am really going to target this gap up here at 421. 420 and then 421 will be your next targets to the upside. It also does need to break above 415. So let me rewind that back. 413 is going to be our target. 415, if it can break above 415. 420, and then 421 is the gap fill. To the downside, if SPY breaks 407, then I am looking for about 404, 401, and then the 200 here at 399. Then we have a gap on the day here, 396.32, that we could definitely go for. So keep that in mind. Also, SPY triggered the monthly to the upside and came back in and the week. So we're going to watch this to see if this continues. If the bears assume control here, this may die all month. If so, my target is going to be back in that 380 area for the week, and that's for the month. For the week, if this continues to die and it goes under 401, I'm going to be looking for it to come down to about 394, that 393 area. Do just remember though, 393 is way down here, and it's an area that we have bounced from several times before. And then we would need to even break through this 200 in the gap to get down to there. So like the bears would have to really step in strong. But if you look at where we are, look here, look here, look here. So we've fallen from this area several times before. Okay, so keep that in mind. We've also here, we did boom from this area. We boomed up and then came back in. But this is an area where we have actually fallen from several times. So I just want y'all to keep that in mind. But that is actually all I have for today. That is my segment. Hope you guys enjoy. And I am going to pass it on over now.